Hello and welcome to the latest edition of New Haven Vlog News Summary, direct from our assignment desk, otherwise known as my compost heap. Let's see what stories we're working on at this hour. Well, here's a Stop the Violence t-shirt. You know, we have so many violence prevention efforts in New Haven, including we started one in City Hall, a violence prevention department. This week, the person who runs that department resigned. That person reported to a community resilience director, who also resigned this week. That person reported to a deputy mayor, the community service administrator, who recently was suspended without pay for a week for something unrelated, which was that somebody else in that part of government got fired, the food policy director, for allegedly stealing money on a city credit card, the part of government that helps the neediest. Justin Ellicker says people leave. This has nothing to do with any problems at City Hall. I wonder if maybe he's wrong. Speaking of whether there's more to it than we think, well, if you had your swimming trunks and you wanted to swim at a public pool like at Cross, we already knew that this summer the Cross pool needed repairs and was not going to be open. Now it turns out to be closed longer than we thought. A year ago, we thought we were going to be applying for money to fix the roof so the pool can be operational at Wilbur Cross. It turns out, as was reported by Laura Gillespie this week, that the city screwed up the application for state money for the repairs. They did the math wrong. So now this is being pushed back further. It also turns out that the city's going to pay money, the Board of Ed, for a new master plan to how to fix all our buildings because they're all run down. We've had horrible maintenance. We don't even know how we're spending the money. But we spent money for a master plan for fixing, we call it master plan, all our facilities in the schools in 2024. Now we're saying we need a new one before we can even start fixing the schools. The mayor sits on the Board of Ed. He controls the Board of Ed. He picks mostly appointees, his allies, an elected person. I wonder if this extreme mismanagement and incompetence has anything to do with the mayor. If a mayor endorses you for another public office, does that mean you skate into office? We'll find out. It happened in New York. Mayor Mamdani endorsed 3 people in primaries, congressional primaries, who won this past week, including a couple of people who took on candidates endorsed by the Democratic Party establishment. This week in New Haven, Mayor Ellicker endorsed Eli Sabin, one of 3 candidates in the Democratic primary for the 92nd General Assembly seat. There's a primary coming up. He too is taking on a candidate endorsed by the party establishment. We'll see what kind of impact that has. What kind of impact can an alder have? Well, Alder Caroline Tanby Smith, who announced this week she's stepping down because she and her fiance bought a house that's outside her district on the east side of town, showed what a big impact you can have. Tanby Smith would do videos celebrating when potholes got fixed in her ward, when she would pay attention to it and really care about potholes. She'd also care about organizing people to make change. As an alder, she helped people who were starting businesses on the east side of town, discovered the problems they were having with the city bureaucracy, and organized a whole citywide coalition as an alder of people starting businesses, running businesses to make the system better. She organized neighbors to try to figure out how to improve the underpasses of highways that divided the neighborhoods, and worked with the city and got state money to do that. An alder could make a big difference, and she did. Well, you might need some big coffee cups because the 3rd Yemeni coffee shop is opening up within a period of months in New Haven. It was announced this week at the corner of Orange and Chaplin, one of those new apartment buildings. That's on top of an Egyptian immigrant who is opening a Moroccan restaurant where Sol de Cuba was on Crown Street. And perhaps the most inspiring of those stories was of Razia Asadi. She was the valedictorian this week at the graduation for Metropolitan Business Academy. As Doreen Chernecki reported, she came to this country at 8 years old when her parents were fleeing the violence of the Taliban in Afghanistan. They built a new life here, including her mother got involved with Sanctuary Kitchen, one of the great refugee and immigrant support groups we have to get people acclimated to our city and thriving here. And then her daughter studied hard and became the valedictorian with a great future ahead. You know, our politicians let us down. We get upset sometimes about stuff in our city, but we have a great city. We do so much great work together to have us all thrive as a community, and we will continue to. Until next time, this is a New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary. Remember, let's always pick up our trash and recycle it while we still can.